the no holds barred, are we? Oh yeah, that's it. It's the No Holds Barred Witchcraft podcast. This week, powered by intention. That's not the name of the episode, but the episode name was requested by one of our patrons, and it is with the best of intentions. So, Chris, does intention power your spells?
It's one of the aspects of it, yes, but not the.
Is it all about the
not at the
intention?
power? Why have you gone straight to there? You just like to set me up. That's not what we agreed.
Well, okay, we'll start it. We'll start back. Intention. If I intend to do something, for example, I intend to pick up this here pen from my table, I've actually got to do something. I've got to actually get off my ass, walk over to the table, and physically pick it up. You see, I'm picking it up now. Yeah, you've got one as well. There we go. There's some actual what would you say? There's some actual work and effort put behind that, isn't there?
There is.
Now, intention. If intention was everything, yeah, there'd be an awful lot of people accidentally getting cursed and stuff. For example, every single time someone cuts me up around that bloody magic roundabout in Swindon,
they just explode.
Guys, if you don't know what a magic roundabout in Swindon is, then you need to get yourself on the No Holds Barred Witchcraft Facebook group, and you need to look at the little graphic we've made for this week's episode. The magic roundabout in Swindon is some next level Wiccan, I tell you, right? It can only have come out of the mind of a Wiccan, because you know what, they're obsessed with their circles. Is literally, I'll count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mini roundabouts that are around the outside of the big roundabout. So it's not literally, it's a pentagram made up of roundabouts.
Yeah, that sounds some that is definitely some next level Wiccan shit.
If that is not next level Wiccan shit, I don't know what is. Anyway, for some reason we're talking about intention. That's it. It's because all of the Wiccans go on about it's all powered by intention, right? So if I'm going round that crazy ass roundabout that no one knows how to drive round, by the way, and I accidentally go, oh, insert nasty word here, get out of my insert nasty word here way, and I put a little bit of, the intention is that I want them to get out of my way. Will that car suddenly levitate and move out of the way? Will the person become cursed or anything like that? Because the intention, surely intention's everything, isn't it?
If it was, then yes, there would be a lot more dead people in the world, because my intention definitely there is die. And that's not even necessarily just the person in the car ahead. It can just be, half the patients at our practice most days, because they're speaking to me like crap, So if it was simply intention, I've got some pretty strong intentions towards certain members of the public.
We can agree spellcasting isn't all about the intention.
No.
How much does intention factor into spellcasting? Because this is the thing I don't understand. They all go on about it's all about the intention, but at the same time you've got them also going on about, oh, you shouldn't read these words out loud because they're magic words. I was like, wait a minute. It's either about the intention and that's how it makes it work, or don't read from the book. I don't get how you can have both.
Because this is the magical land of the W's, isn't it? So they have topsy-turvy land. But anyway, this wasn't supposed to be one of these episodes. How have you done this? This was supposed to be a serious conversation about the importance of intention.
Okay, you tell us all about that then. You take over.
So I think there are a couple of ways that because Dina just said the title, didn't she? So she didn't say what she wanted it to necessarily be about. But there were a couple of ways
she knew what it was going to
be
about, let's be fair.
She knows there's a couple of ways that we could have probably gone with this. I suppose another way would be to talk about the intention when doing work and when spells go awry. So when someone, wants to do a little love spell and then ends up with this, psychopathic, obsessed person that wants to be around them constantly and it turns toxic. So you can't do that with just a bit of intention, can you?
Oh, so you're talking about I intend for my spells to work. I'm not so sure that that's really. I mean, how many social media insta witches and that intend for their spells to work? I mean, surely the only thing that matters is that they look pretty, no?
No, yeah, their spells look pretty. So they've got pretty altars with their all these cool looking things from Nemesis now, yeah?
Yeah, and shiny
Shiny
crystals. Don't
crystals, yeah,
forget
the
the
shiny
shiny
crystals are mega
crystals.
important.
There's got to be some magic there. I mean, when you think about the amount of people that have died to get those out of the
Well,
earth, surely there's a
exactly.
magic in that.
Yeah, some traps soul of some small Mexican person trying to get hold of jade in the bottom of some, yeah. No, poor
Why did
thing.
the mine collapse on Jade's head?
On Jade's head. Jade's gone. Jade will never be with us
Poor
again.
Jade.
Poor Jade.
Rest in peace,
Rest in
Jade.
peace, Jade.
Rest in peace. Right. So you're going to tell us about a botched love spell that you know people have cast, or
So yeah,
where are we going with this?
I'm thinking, how bad's this? I'm thinking of that episode, if you remember it from Charmed, where she reads that Tatiana book. Do you remember? And so they're in Phoebe's in like some kind of class. I think it's one of her psychology classes, and there's these three girls in the row behind reading a book by Tatiana. You know those soft red velvet coated ones.
It's not this one, is it?
Yes, that one. How have you? No, you haven't got that.
I've conjured it up. Look, it's even got the velvet on it.
Exactly. So
Look
they're
at that.
reading that exact book. That exact book.
Right.
I
What
don't.
spell are they
I don't know.
reading? Is it
There was some kind of make. It was a Make Me a Man episode. So
Make Me a
they
Man?
conjured themselves the perfect man. So obviously there were three of them, and they all did it. And obviously the botched part of it was the fact that obviously they had recorded Phoebe saying, because she'd basically looked at the book and go, oh, those verses are all in the wrong words, the wrong way round. So I was just going back to your point about the impact. It's either about the words or it's the intention. Pick one. But there's that kind of moment. So she rearranges it, and then they record the class, as lots of these students do. So she then plays Phoebe back because the spell doesn't work in the order that it says in the book. Whether or not this spell is actually in the book, I don't know. I just remember how the book was, and I couldn't buy it. I didn't want to buy it. It upset me too much.
Well, I'm looking through the book in a moment, so I'll tell you if I manage to find one that's similar to that.
It was
Okay?
what they did in the episode was turning men into dates for a night out, and I think one of them was like a bunny rabbit, one of them was like a snake, and then obviously they all turn into psychopaths because of course they do. But it was that kind of the importance of the spells being the right way round, the wording being the right way, and then obviously what they thought they were getting was perfect dates for the evening, and just by choosing the right animal to make their date out of it, they thought they knew what they were getting. So yes, they were thinking, oh, intelligent snake, when actually the snake is, turns into this predator kind of one that pretty much wants to eat her and kill her, because
I've been referred to as a snake, a cold-hearted snake.
oh, were they a fan of Marina and the Diamonds or something?
Possibly.
So
I think actually I've inadvertently stumbled upon an answer to a question we've had before.
okay, go on.
Can you see what that says?
Frozen honey.
Yeah. Freezing spell.
Yeah.
They seem to be quite heavy in this book, and as you know, we do have a lot of problems with people. And I'm wondering if it actually tells you
how to do the kind of treating spells we're always having to fix, because they never tell you how to get rid of them. This, I don't see how that has anything to do with intention.
No, but you've got me flipping through this book now.
Oh,
I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it in the group, okay?
obviously it's my
But
fault,
yeah,
everybody, because I'm clearly the one.
Going back to the freezing spells that you've talked about, at no point does it ever tell you to take it out of the freezer.
No.
So I think that clears up a lot.
No. But yeah, so we're talking about intention.
Yes.
We're not.
Go on
We're
then.
not. We're not talking about Tatiana. But yeah, I can't even think what I was talking about now.
You were explaining how much intention really matters.
Yeah. So for me, I suppose it's probably the smallest part for me. I think what tends to be my priority when designing spells for people is, as long as they have those three ingredients, I'm happy. And those three ingredients is obviously a power source to power the spell, a focus point, so where the goal is, and then obviously how they want that to play out. So the intended method is kind of those three things kind of produce that perfect kind of footprint for a blueprint for a spell. So for me, obviously, the power source is normally the most important one. Is there going to be enough power to make whatever you intend to happen?
If we're defining what the intention is, the intention is essentially what you want to happen, what you want to manifest.
Yeah.
Right. So the intention alone, me wanting that pen, isn't necessarily gonna make that manifest in my hand.
No.
So it needs a power source.
Yeah.
So with all of the best of intentions, are you talking about the intention not really being thought out? Or are you talking about the execution of getting that thing not working out? Because why do these spells go wrong? Is it because they haven't thought of the outcome enough? Like the old-fashioned, well, I wanted some money and now I'm paralyzed from the neck down because I was involved in a car accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a big insurance payout, you know.
But I now
That's
can't.
that
But I now can't
worked.
hug my grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could consider that a bonus. But to be fair, it is a negative also because you can't stop it from hugging you.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Exactly.
Oh.
But yeah, I think a large part of it is that people don't think about those spells. So I always make a point of explaining to newbies, normally mundanes, when we have these kind of charm bag kind of spell sessions. So they're often that's their first experience of magic, and I will always explain that obviously I will always put that magic will take its easiest route. So it will take the path of least resistance in order to make happen, which means if the quickest way to get you that money is that as you walk out of here you're going to be hit by a car, then it's potentially going to happen that way if you've not planned or thought about the consequences of what you want to happen and how you want it to happen. Because if it's pure intention of I just want money, give me money, that's just going to happen in the easiest way possible. If you're not conscious of the fact that actually, well, I'd like to have that money without without an accident or any kind of grievous bodily harm, is a change to that. It's a thought out process. I don't necessarily want to lose grandma. So like it's if you've gone is I want money and I want money now. Yes, you can have the strongest enough attention about it. You'll probably get a result, but will the result be what you intended? Is the intention there for it to happen that way?
Well, I mean, I intended to send Christmas cards out last year. I didn't actually do it. Intention surely kind of like the plan. And
Yeah.
generally, when I think of intention, I think of that. I think of the person that says, well, I was going to do it, but I didn't. When I think about the word desire, I think of, well, I really want
Yeah.
And, what would be the best word to describe that aspect of the spell? Because I think of it more as the plan or outcome. And I
Yeah.
wonder whether just replace intention,
I would normally say it's the goal.
word, with outcome.
It's the
goal,
goal,
aim,
it's the
outcome.
aim, the outcome,
Yeah.
as opposed to the intention. I guess I've always used the word intention before I realised quite how coloured that word is. But I've always used intention on the basis of I see a route. So for me, it's what way do you want this magic to actually work? That's why I consider the intention, the pathway, and the focus point two different things. So the focal point is obviously where you want that energy to go to end up, whereas actually the intention is how's this going to play out.
So you can take the elevator or lift,
Yeah,
or the escalator or the stairs.
or you can just walk straight out of the window and fall. Like,
I intend to take the escalator.
Yeah.
I intend to take the escalator. It's because I haven't taken it yet, but that's the route I'm going down. Is that what you're
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Whereas most people would just go, if their intention was everything, and it was I just want this, my desire will occur, because that's what they're often talking about, is setting the intentions. What do I want? So,
well, they say
or what
the
am I going
road
to
to hell is
ask
paved
for?
with good intentions.
They certainly do.
Don't they? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Why is that?
That's because some people often do more harm than good when they're trying to, because they don't look at the bigger picture.
I think that a really good example for that, given that we're talking about hell, is let's talk about the church, right?
Okay.
So the church want to save people, yeah, but they're willing to kill anyone that gets in their way in order to save people, right? So they'll be like, well, if everyone starts believing Galileo and that this isn't the center of the universe and such, then their faith might be shaken. So we better kill him. And the intention's good because they're ultimately wanting people to be saved, but ultimately, they're doing a bad thing to get there. Do you think that's not what it means? It means that actually, if you're making decisions for other people and you're doing a bad thing, and thinking that you're doing a bad thing, thinking you're doing a good thing, or getting a good outcome by doing a bad thing, actually you're just doing really bad stuff, and it won't work out in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't work out for the church to this time.
Yeah, or another example would be vegans.
Oh, well, you had to go there, didn't
So,
you?
might be affected that certain vegans, not all. I'm not attacking veganism as a whole. I'm just saying you've got people that will go, oh well, I'll go with this soy product because it's better.
Soy candles.
Because it's better for the environment. And you kind of go in,
which is not.
It's not, because the way in which it's mass produced now means that it's no longer, so it's kind of one of those.
I get exactly what you mean. I know
they
vegan
don't have
people.
What's the word? A well-informed enough decision. What they go is, oh well, it's not beeswax, and beeswax is bad because it's bad for the bees. And then you're kind of like, okay.
Although it's not.
It's not, but it's
if it's harvested properly, it's not. So they'll choose soy wax for their candles instead, and soy wax is really bad for the environment.
Exactly.
But you can't tell them that.
So, but then it's got to be. But then equally, you've got this argument constantly that palm oil's bad, and then you're kind of like, well, if it's responsibly farmed, actually, palm oil is actually in some ways much better because it requires less fertilizer, it requires less damaging a part of an area. What the problem is what they cut down in order to grow palm is the problem, as opposed to growing palm. So you just kind of like, it's one of those where it's never as black and white, is it, as people think it is. And then they kind of go, oh well, I won't have that product because it's got it's got palm oil in, or I won't have that nice local product that's made from byproducts of the honey process but I'll go and buy this intensely farmed something from the other side of the world.
Okay. So if you're talking about intentionally trying to help other people or intentionally trying to make the right decisions, people that say you shouldn't use this, you shouldn't use that, assuming that they are trying to help other people, is that kind of like the blind leading the blind? So what about magical mentors
Oh,
and all of these people that do the Facebooking and have the intention of helping others? Assume that you have someone that set up a Facebook group, like say Feisty Witches Facebook group, that has the intention of helping other people on their magical journey, as opposed to making it an ego trip.
yeah,
Because of course people wouldn't set up Facebook groups just to have their 60 or 70,000 people worship them, would they? That wouldn't be such a
of
thing.
course not.
That's never
No,
gonna.
nobody would do
But
that. No.
assuming that it is someone that tries to help other people and they have the best of intentions to do that, but they fail miserably, maybe you should talk about that.
What you mean, the 1,000,001 memes of misinformation that never quotes a source?
Well, I mean, the misinformation comes from the Scott Cunningham books, and Scott Cunningham had the best of intentions when he wrote those.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that publishing company that continued to publish the same old trash after he died. I think their intentions were something quite different, if I'm honest with you. But still, we don't talk about the publishing company with the crescent moon.
No, we don't. Because we might be reliant on one of them to publish something one day. But it's just, yeah, I think there's that aspect of we live in this world now where everything's at the fingertips, but it's also buried beneath all this kind of repeated crap that sits on the top. And because it's most it's the most clickable, or it's the most pretty, is the other one. It's the most pretty version of it where they misquote the greats or whatever with this beautiful background. And then it just gets reposted and reposted and reposted to the point that people then believe that to be true because they've seen it 6 million times. And you just kind of like, I'm sure that's not what they mean. What they're trying to do is give access to the most possible things available, but they're the easiest way to get hold of them is to just click retweet or to click, share, rather than creating the content themselves. And I think that's what it comes down to, is they're trying to be helpful because they're like, oh, that's pretty, or oh, that's got a really nice sentiment, reposting it across or whatever. And I think it doesn't limit to just that, does it? It limits it. It goes to bad mentors too, when you've got groups that kind of form because they find they've got a little bit of a niche amongst themselves, and lots of these. It's what's killed lots of moots, if you think about it, is where a group of them kind of click together, they break off, and they think, oh well,
What's a moot?
you know what a moot is.
Yeah, but there might be people listening that have just clicked on this because
okay.
I thought this was some next level Disney.
Oh, possibly.
What are they talking about?
Possibly.
They're talking about real magic by the looks of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, moot, pagan moots,
Pagan
magical
moots.
meetings.
Meetings.
Moot's an old term for a meeting. In these weird pubs in Britain, witches are meet and talk about witchy things. And we call them moots over here. I don't know what they call them abroad.
No, me neither.
Le moot, if you're in France. Das Moot, if you're in Germany. I don't know. So with the last 5 minutes we've got left on the regular podcast before we go on to the naughty version on the Patreon, join the Thoth Witchcraft Patreon, give us some money and we'll tell you some naughty things, right? So with the last 5 minutes, maybe you can talk about, because we're currently in January 2021. There are a lot of people that have been making a New Year's resolutions with the best of intentions to stop smoking or to stop drinking or to start getting fit. How would you construct a spell to give that person or make their dreams a reality, make their New Year's resolution work? And how does that spell that you're constructing work? You got 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'd probably go with the natural good one, which we've already talked about, which would be a charm bag, I imagine, or a gree.
No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to do the charm
Why
bag thing
not?
because we talk about charm bags all the time
I
on all
know,
the
but it's
platforms, and people will start thinking you're a one-trick pony,
but
Chris.
that's the
So you're
thing.
not allowed the abracadabra, and you're not allowing the charm bag.
Oh
Okay, come up
God.
with another one. Come on, think outside the box.
Okay. Well, another way around it really depends on what you're growing for me. So I would either start with a literal version of that, and you plant something that is going to grow, and you put your intention in that, and you water it and you mature it in a nice bit of sympathetic magic of as you kind of feed and water and tend for this intention, it will grow throughout the year and just get bigger and bigger. That's a nice way to do it, with a nice bit of sympathetic magic. And you could do it by writing the intention directly on the label stick, like the back of the label stick, that you would put, oh, this is mint, and then more grow. So obviously you pick something that's going to grow easy. Obviously, you're not going to get something like, oh, I'm going to try and grow orchids from scratch, or or something that, or I grow a tree that's going to take 20 years. You're going to want something. It might be something as simple as, say, watercress. Something that all you actually need is a bit of moisture on a bit of cotton wool on your windowsill with a few seeds.
Right, because I'm wondering, because you talked about this Titiana book.
Oh God.
Well, in here, there's the spell that you've just basically given.
Really?
See that? So in the Seeds of Love.
Oh, okay, that's love magic.
Chris.
If I am Tatiana.
Chris, whether you're Tatiana or you've learned all of your things from Tatiana's book, are you one of those book read Wiccans secretly? Or do you really know real craft?
I don't own enough books to be called a book Wiccan at all.
Well, that's because you've given them all away, haven't you? You just borrowed them from the library, didn't you?
Oh, sure,
free?
yeah.
Imagine that.
Do they even have a witchcraft section in the library anymore?
I don't know if they'd call it a witchcraft section. They've got a self-help section because they know the people that hang out there need some serious help.
And to be honest, I imagine Tatiana would make its way into self-help. I bet it's on that list.
To be fair, it would. I mean, I picked this one up from... Was it this one I picked up? No, this was given to me, actually. This was a present from someone. Because that's the problem with clients, is they think, oh, you're a witch. You'll like a book on witchcraft, won't you? I found this. The amount of astrology books and crappy books I've been given as tips. For, working for someone, it's like, oh, I saw this and I thought of you. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have.
Really shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you took it home with you.
Well, this is the one that has the chunks out because it's a hardback edition, and this is the one I throw at students.
Oh, okay.
When I do my book throwing exercise, where I say, you've probably seen books like this, and then lob it across the room. I did stop doing that because I nearly took someone's head off at Stourbridge. There was a rather shocked lady where I flung it over behind me and it kind of hit the wall, then bounced back and almost hit the poor woman. But there we go. I like to add a little bit of danger to my classes, you see. I mean, you might be doing a little bit of love magic or healing magic, but I still think there should be a little bit of danger there. So I like to throw things at people and stuff. Yeah. And I don't mean magically, I mean physically throw things about the room. And it make sure everyone's paying attention to you, because you don't want a boring kind of lecture without things flying around.
Your favourite big book that you use for teaching would kill somebody if it fell on somebody, though. That Bible is huge.
Non's currently sat on it.
Oh, okay. God knows what that's going to be like afterwards.
I'll put a picture of my big book in the No Holds Barred Facebook group as well. We got a lot of books and none of them we're recommending. But anyway, we're out of time for this week's edition of the podcast. So, Happy New Year, everyone.